Yo guys, welcome to the video. This is Josh or Milky, and in today's video I'm going to be going over kind of the meta for this league in terms of farming strategies. Obviously we have the sheet and I try and keep that updated with everything I've been doing or everything I've seen. There are a few things that need to be added that we're going to talk about in this video. But first of all, a lot of people come into chat and they ask exactly what they should be farming, and the typical thing I say to them is what type of player you are. And what that means as we go into the game is, are you someone that wants to do the absolute best of the best? That would be a type 1 player. Or do you just kind of want to vibe farm? Do you want to farm the things that maybe the top farms need, but you don't want the hassle of doing, you know, the super juiced? You're not maybe there yet in terms of your build. You just want to do some vibe farming and make some currency. That's type 2 player. So we're going to start with the kind of type 1 farms. And those are like the best, the cream of the crop, the farms that the juices are running and they kind of dictate what's good beneath that. And I'd say there's maybe 6 or 7 of those this league, and we'll go through them in some form of order. The first two are going to be Allflame related. So Allflames newly added this league, brought back from Necropolis. They are farmable in Betrayal, and there are two that I want to call out. Kulamek is the first one. This is starting to creep into the meta. I tried this a few days ago. Unfortunately, my character wasn't good enough, and I didn't have enough rarity on my character to really prove this to be good, or I would have had a video out then. But it's really starting to creep up now. There's you know, people doing it. People starting to farm Mage Bloods, you know, Mage Bloods headhunters. So I'm glad that I wasn't going insane when I thought this would be good. But what this does, for those that don't know, is you can replace monster packs in your map with essentially a unique mob. And they're pretty good because they have pretty high drop rates for things. And by using this Kulamek Allflame in a quantity of 2, alongside the Allflame Scarab, and then some Titanic Scarabs, which did get nerfed this league, but still very, very good, you'll be able to summon... It's up to 100 almost unique mobs per map that you're going to be killing when I was running this strategy. So what you'll do is you'll kill the entire map in a 16.5 with very high quantity, pack size, rarity. You'll kill all the mobs in the map, you'll kill the boss, and then you'll resummon all the Syndicate guys, and you'll go back and kill them. And you've also, of course, got those petal modifiers that you can use on the second go round to make sure you're only hitting the unique mobs. And if you get the ones that give maybe 200% rarity, you can get the ones that give up to 200% quantity. And then there's ones that make it so they don't drop any items with rarity, and then you're going to drop, you know, a bomb of scarabs or currency. Notable drops I had when I was farming this: I dropped 5 T0s from one monster. That was pretty cool. And then I've also seen Z-Boob. If you're not familiar with Z-Boob, amazing player, very high-end blaster. He's normally doing like voided maps on his brand characters, doing some crazy mirror crafts. Very, very, very top-end blaster. He's farming these Kulameks, as far as I've seen, he's dropping, you know, Mage Bloods galore. So go check him out if you want to see this in action. And then next to this, we have one that I've already made a video on, which is the Allflame of the Ethereal. Now, I don't actually have one of these, so I'll... Oh my gosh, Faustus is trolling me. I've got CSGO aim trying to click this button. Let's go find the Ethereal Allflame. Very expensive right now, almost 290C per, which is almost 2 divines. So you have to run 3 of these per map, and then you also have to run a really good map. So these maps are probably going to cost up to 7 divines to run. Now, what do they produce? If you didn't watch the last video, they produce a ton of raw currency and scarabs. This is the best way in the game right now to farm scarabs. That is the Allflame of the Ethereal, but it is extremely expensive, and also it's kind of party play. Like, the currencies and stuff get multiplied by the party play. The scarabs, as far as I know, don't. But if you were going to run this with like exclusively currency maps, then this would get kind of dominated by party players. If this was something they were willing to do, maybe they'd rather sit and do the next strategy that we're going to talk about, which is downloaded Exiles. If you don't know what this is made popular by people last league doing, you know, a ton of rogue exile farming. Fubgun in Fracita League, I think, was doing this. Empyrean and his group do this. Essentially what happens is you have someone or a group of people, or, you know, just anyone that wants to do it, filling ritual vessels with gigantification exiles. These are like the Patroshka exiles that kind of split into more as you kill them, and then they drop a ton of loot, and you can put these in the ritual to keep resummoning them. So you can kind of take loot from, take juice from one map and put it into yours. It's very, very, very strong, and you'll have seen the loot explosions maybe from Empyrean's group, where they're dropping 20 T0s from one ritual. Insane stuff. Maybe not the craziest on the solo player side, but I do think this will creep up into the meta again as people get stronger and stronger builds, people get some MF on their character. This will start to be realistic to do as a solo player and will probably be quite good. Then we have T16.5 map farming, exclusively for maps. Well, you do get currency and scarabs as well, but this is what a 16.5 map looks like, and you see all those crazy rolls, right? 194 quant, 215 rares, 62 pack size, 100 maps, 50 scarabs, 100 accuracy. If you drop an 8 mod 16.5 using the corruption scarab, it seems that it always comes with these higher versions of the modifiers that give you more of the good modifiers on your map. Don't know if this is kind of been tested by people that it always gives T17 modifiers if you drop them with the corruption scarab, but they always have these insanely high rolls, and people need these insanely high rolls, right? If you're investing, let's say, 6 divines in ethereal Allflames to farm yourself, you want a damn good map to multiply all that loot with, right? So people want good versions of these, and this is where the 16.5 map farming comes in, using the escalation scarab, the corruption scarab, multitudes, people even doing it with bloodlines and double lineage. And then, of course, you've got the petals on top of that, and you will overproduce these corrupted 16.5s in order to be able to sell them onto people doing these strats. Now, selling them in bulk will be very annoying. You will have to kind of put them in a tab and sell them individually, most likely, which is not fun for some people. Also, you have to sell 8 mods, which then you have to deal with other people giving you regexes, and then you have to give them the ones they want, and yeah, it's just annoying. But map farming, a lot of people have made a ton of money in this. I think I saw Tuna doing this and making his fortune doing that. Many people have been doing this. People in my chat, like this, probably if I polled my chat, this is like one of the most polled my chat of people that have more than a mirror in currency on their character. I think most of them would say they did map farming. So it has kind of dipped a bit because so many people have got onto this. The 8 mod selling is a lot more difficult now. But people will always want T17 maps. People are always going to want these 16.5 maps. I think these 16.5 maps are going to be in more demand later on when more and more people want to do these really high-end juice strats with like the downloaded Exiles, the Allflames, the Ethereals. So that's that. So that's kind of the top end. And then lastly, we have, of course, the old reliable. It's kind of just the old reliable at this point, right? He's not too flashy. You know, he's not new. He's just reliable. The ambush Scarab of Containment. If you don't know, this basically replaces all the mobs in your map with a boatload of Strongboxes, and then you can juice them up with the tree using things like tamper-proof to make them corrupted and rare, so you don't have to bother rolling them. You get a chance for them to be openable again. You've got Scarabs to make them have a chance to be openable again. Now, a lot of people maybe don't know, but these things don't scale with modifiers from your maps that say more maps, Scarabs, and currency. These only scale with the quantity of your map. Also, they changed Strongboxes this league, and they made it so that the mobs summoned from the Strongbox itself aren't technically local mobs. And if you didn't know, local mobs have much higher like drop rates, just drop modifiers than none. If you need proof of that, kill a Legion rare in a T17 with 300% Scarabs, and then kill a locally spawned rare with the same thing. You'll see the difference, trust me. And Strongboxes used to summon local rares, and that's why you could roll the boxes for 3 additional rares and then kill them and get a ton of Scarabs, but you can't do that anymore because they changed how that works. And they changed that so that Allflames didn't work with Strongboxes as they did in the past. Sorry if I'm not speaking into the mic. Like I was sat back there. I was getting really into it, but that made me sit back. Anyway, yeah, so Strongboxes, very reliable, very strong. Even at this amount. Now one thing people kind of stumble and trip on here is it's expensive, and sometimes when you're doing a strategy that has a high amount of investment, you're gonna lose sometimes for a long stretch of maps. But the thing about Containment is it drops Apothecaries, it drops House of Mirrors, it drops Hinakora's Locks. I get many mirrors duplicated from Strongbox linked to me on the daily. Drops Divines, Valdo, all these things. It has extremely high potential for jackpots, and that's what kind of carries it over, right? It's just 2 Divines here, 2 Divines there. Ooh, 5 Divine card. Ooh, Hinakora's Lock double. Ooh, Mirror double. It adds up. You have to be able to invest a lot of time into doing this. You want to do a lot of maps so that you can call it beat the variance, right? You want to do a lot of these maps. So that's it. And then we'll go into some maybe honorable mentions for kind of the top cream of the crop strats. And they're going to be as always, Awakening Harvest. We'll get into why that's good. And then Ultimatum being the other one. Start with Harvest. So Harvest, if you don't know, Awakening Scarab makes it so you can play the crop rotation minigame, and you have a less chance for adjacent plots to wilt, so you can end up getting an enormous amount of life force from each map. Typically in the past, doing this strategy, you could get like maybe 10k, 15k on a really good map. Now you can get much higher because of the risk Scarab. So if you have a very, very, very strong build and you're doing 16.5 maps with very large amounts of pack size and quantity, the amount of life force you can get from any given map is probably like more like 20 to 25k. And we're not really seeing that reflected in the price of these things just yet. I don't think people are really starting to be able to do this yet. But yeah, life force is going to be very... you're going to see some crazy clips of people dropping a ton of life force. Like they're going to be someone's going to get like a 40k map or something, I'm sure. It's going to be very cool. But you have to be able to run Risk Scarab. Well, at least to get the most out of it. You don't have to run Risk Scarab to run this setup, especially with the current cost of Awakening. This for this Scarab, if you've not seen in previous leagues, this is quite cheap for this Scarab. And then next we have Ultimatum. I'm not an expert on Ultimatum by any means. It requires a very bespoke character, one that's kind of like set up almost to farm Ultimatum. So I've done it a bit in the past. I understand how it works, but getting the absolute most out of it, I'm not your guy. But I know that this is a very, very strong farming strategy if you have a character that can do it. And the person I'm going to direct you to is eMiracles. Extremely in-depth guides on Ultimatum and the character that he uses to farm Ultimatum. Yeah, you couldn't look further. You don't need to look anywhere else to find someone to learn how to do Ultimatum or play a build very good for Ultimatum from. Yeah, go check that out description. So far in the description, we got Zboob, and eMiracles, and there'll be more because we have other people we want to look at in this video. But that is what I would say is kind of the cream of the crop, as well as 2 honorable mentions. So if you're a Type 1 player, there's all your farms. Go nuts. Next part of the video is going to be for Type 2 players. If you skip to this bit, hello, this bit is for you. We're going to start by talking about the kind of the farms that are going to support the ones that we've already spoke about, right? So we have these top kind of 7 farms. How do you, as a player that maybe can't do these farms, leverage people needing items to do this? Well, first of all, we have Betrayal. Betrayal obviously now drops Allflames. From any Syndicate house leader, you can drop an Allflame. You can also drop a Syndicate medallion, which is how you fight the Katarina encounter. And that has more than a divine value, maybe even more as the Allflame of the Kulamek increases in price. And then, of course, the Allflames that drop from the Syndicates themselves are very valuable. Ethereal's 1.5 divine. The Gilded one is like 70c. You can also drop like Paradoxicas, you name it. And then you obviously get the rewards from the safe house itself. If you want a guide on how to set up a board just like mine and to run the safe houses efficiently, check the description for a guy called Simply Visners, absolute goat of Betrayal. You can also check out Cute Dog, who obviously farms Betrayal all the time. You always see clips of him getting mirrors from Juiciest. Yeah, both of these guys have guides on Betrayal. Look no further if you need to learn how to set up a board like this. One thing I will say, if you're hearing me say this and you're like, this looks super complicated, as a newbie to Betrayal, I only started doing Betrayal yesterday. I've never set this up before. I will say it isn't as I feel like there was a bit of, I don't want to say gatekeeping, but it was almost like people acted like this was some kind of rocket science. I started doing this yesterday. It really isn't that insane. I'm going to be honest. You can learn this in a few hours, maybe even, like I set up my board in 1 hour. So you could do the same, right? And it's not the rocket science people make it out to be. I think the reason people make out like it's rocket science is because there's a lot of minutia in terms of how you can min-max it. But the actual meat and potatoes of how to set it up and 90% of the info is quite straightforward. It's that remaining 10% that doesn't make or break the strat, but certainly improves it, that I think people get hung up on. So I hope that puts you at ease if you wanted to learn Betrayal. But maybe weren't confident enough to do so. I think you can do it. So yeah, there's this method, and then if you don't want to do that, there's just doing it blindly, clicking the dudes, trying to get as much intelligence as you can, and that method is going to spawn you more safe houses, which is going to be more cracks, the Allflames and the Syndicate medallions. But you're going to get less, good rewards. You're not going to get grab every time you run a transportation safe house. You're not going to get ambush scarabs and ultimatum scarabs every time you run an intervention. So that you'll have to choose for yourself. I would recommend this one because it's more fun, right? So yeah, Betrayal is kind of like integral in the meta for farming right now because so many of the top end strats require Allflames. Next, we have Scarab farming. And unfortunately, this is kind of a bait because there aren't any Scarab farms on the bottom end. We used to have things like Divinity and Adversaries. I've even tried things out with Propagation Allflame and of the flesh, the meat sacks to try and produce a ton of Scarabs, but it just doesn't pop. Whatever they did to the Scarab drop rates, I know obviously they reduced it and then raised stack size. They must have also just reduced it as well and reduced some kind of multiplier on rare mobs for getting Scarabs. It just doesn't pop like it did before. So yeah, getting Scarabs, you'll get some farming maybe Rogue Exile strats or like low end Rogue Exile strats with nodes like significant troves or like low end rare strats. You will get some, but you're not going to be producing inventories full per map like you were in the past. So yeah, I'm still looking for a really, really great Scarab strat that isn't the Ethereal Allflame, and I'll let you guys know if I find one. So next supportive kind of thing that you can do to help the people on the real top end with their farming is the downloaded vessels. You could be the guy going into the toxic sewer maps and trying to spawn your gigantification rogue exiles on top of the ritual. You could be the guy going into the toxic sewers to get the ritual vessels filled up with those gigantification exiles. Now the difficulty with these is simply selling them. You would need to know someone or maybe have kind of a vouch. Because you can't actually prove that the vessel that says it has an exile on it, you can't prove that it's a gigantification exile. So yeah, there will be people trying to get away with some stuff here. But if you find someone that you trust and trusts you, you can sell these, and they sell for a lot. They are multiple divines if you manage to get multiple gigantification exiles in each of the vessels. Very, very, very strong, very good strat, but difficult to set up. Difficult to sell, sorry. And honestly, in terms of directly supporting those high mechanics, that's kind of as far as it goes, because the 16.5 strat sustains itself. Other than the Allflames and the vessels, there's not really much way for you to break in to kind of help these top-end strategies. Normally it would be Scarabs, but that's just out of the question this league, so far, at least for me. So that's going to be the two kind of supportive mechanics. And then we'll go into kind of the middle of the pack, bog standard, blockable mechanics, your normal kind of stuff, your Harbies, your Legions, your Breaches. Which ones of those are good? Well, Harby is as good as it always is. If you like Harby, you'll still like Harby. No different, very good. You don't need to do 16.5 maps. You don't need to do T17. It doesn't care about any of that stuff. You just go in, farm Fracturing Shards, farm Mirror Shards, have a great time with Harby. Breach, I don't think the changes made it exceptional by any means. It's kind of still exactly where it was. It's just less annoying to farm. So if you like Breach before, you'll like it now. Legion, again, as good as it ever is nowadays. The emblems aren't expensive, but they aren't like important to what make Legion profitable. What's profitable about Legion is cracking all those sergeants out, getting some raw currency, getting the incubators, getting the stack decks, getting the scarabs, and it's kind of adding up over time, right? All those loot tiles adding up, and then you can shift it off in bulk and end up with a large amount. Now, bear in mind, none of these strategies that I'm talking about right now compare to the strategies that we spoke about in the video. These are going to be those like 5 to 10 divines per hour, whereas these ones that we spoke about here are probably going to be in that more like 10, 15, maybe even 20, some of them, divines per hour if done properly. So yeah, this is definitely more middle of the road. And if you're hearing these numbers and thinking, I never get anywhere near that, don't worry about it. This is just like a way to explain where they are, right? People do typically get this amount, but it's not literally raw divines in your stash, right? Then we have my two favorite strats in tier 16, which would be the Cloister farm. I don't have any right now, but essentially you use 5 Cloister Scarabs, and this makes it so you can farm stack decks. You want a map with a ton of pack size, and then you'll go in and you'll farm like 60 stack decks per map. Really fun. You can open them yourself, you can sell them. It kind of depends. Over the long run, you're pretty much always going to win on stack decks, especially this league. They added even more good ones. But it's kind of like do you like gambling or not? And then the Paranoia Delirium Scarab. I really, really like this strat. This adds 2 additional rewards. What this means is you'll add 8 total by using 4 of the Scarab, and you'll start with 3, and you'll get more. And it'll kind of go up, right? And you'll end up with, I think it's 13 rewards on the bottom, the tiles. And there are only 17 to choose from, and there can be no duplicates. So the more you get, the more likelihood of you getting like Scarabs, maps, stack decks, currency. And then for each tick on the reward count, 1, 2, 3, it goes all the way up to maybe 8 or 9, depending on what map you're running. You'll get that many of each thing, right? So you get 8 essences, 8 stack decks, 8 currencies, 8 maps, so on and so forth. And so again, this is just kind of, it adds up. You're never going to the moon unless you get really lucky and drop a mirror. The stuff that this gives is never going to be suddenly spiking in value because daily orbs just aren't that great anymore, but it's consistent, it generates, and it's a fun farm in my opinion. So Paranoia and stack decks, very nice. Ritual, again, it takes over. Ritual vessels, quite expensive right now, even if you don't want to fill them. Ritual vessels are expensive right now. They're like 25C to 30C each, so very consistent. You'd use 2 abundance, 2 selectiveness, and then I did it with Betrayal, so I used reinforcements, the strategy on the sheet, and you just run through it. You get divines, you get audience with the kings, you get fractured items, you get synth items, you get the ritual vessels themselves, and then you get just a boatload of like random other currency, right? Ritual, again, in that middle of the park kind of thing. Expedition, I don't really do much expedition if I'm being honest. This one's kind of a mystery to me. I know if you have a strong enough build or like a bespoke build, you can do the really crazy archaeology strats. I'm sure you've seen Jung Roan doing this, and when you can do that, it's exceptionally good. But if you can't do that, it's kind of whatever, at least from what I've seen. Then we have Essence. Essence, again, people always need Essences. If you look at this and you think Essences are 1 or 2C each, yes, but you're dropping like 50 plus a map, and some of them aren't 2C each. Obviously, you've got Corruption Essences that are like 20C each. So Essence is as good as it's ever been. You can do it low investment with like 3 Essence, 1 SN, 1 Stability, or you can do it super high end where you're using Calcification, getting a ton of rare monsters in your map, and doing it that way. I do know that Zen M is currently working on a max roll guide where he's going to go over some Calcification strats, so keep an eye out for that one. And then left over, we have things like altar farming with lineage, influencing Scarab of the hordes, pretty normal bog standard stuff. And lastly, kind of a I don't know where to put this kind of strat would be the Abyss strat. I've never done this because I never play spellcasters, so I never have a caster mastery to open the hordes. But this is like, I've seen Red Vials doing it. I know people in my chat that do it, and I hear very good things. So Abyss, I don't know where to put, but it does just farm raw currency and divination cards. So yeah, very, very good. Another one, and then so this will be the kind of category of I don't know more than anything. Like I know they're good, but I don't know like how good or where I'd put them. So we have Abyss, we have cluster farming in Delirium and T17s. We have pilfering boxes, which again I just don't know. We have Pandemonium boss farming, don't know. You've not been able to do it. Like Alva Temple farming. Alva Temple farming is probably just in the category of it's okay. The demand for Alva Temples is never like, it never spikes. Like they are what they are. People sometimes need them. There's never like a video comes out and everyone's like, buy Alva Temples, it's quick. Like that never happens, right? Alva Temples is just okay. So yeah, that I hope if you watch this whole video, I'm almost out of breath. I yap that much. Yeah, I hope this video, if you managed to listen to it all, if you could stomach me for that long. There's one more. I forgot. There's one more. Kalguur. Settlers, he got re-added. Settlers is okay. The ores are kind of ass. You really don't get that much to make up from sending off the ores. The tattoos and runes just aren't that expensive. You can get the super jackpot ones with journey tattoos or the angler rune. And obviously you can send like Verisium to Riben Fell to get back some Scarabs. You can send your other ore anywhere to try get those runes and tattoos. And then you can send off your crops. But you don't need to farm Kalguur to farm the crops. That you can just set up and have ticking away in the background. So for the ores aren't that great. But what is good and what people are doing is just simply adding Kalguur to their map in order to find the Starfall crater. And what that allows you to do is fight the boss who can drop Svarlin, which is like a 70 divine shield. But it has a very low drop rate, it has a very low appearance rate, so it's kind of just something you tack on to a fast mapping strategy in order to try and get yourself a little 70 divine juice up. Whew. I hope this was a great... I'm sorry there's like, I'm not like super... I don't know, there's so many things I want to do, and then I just realize I'm not like put out for it. Like I want my videos to be like super well thought out and have cool imagery on the screen and all that, but you know, I'm just yapping at the webcam, dude. I hope me yapping at the webcam is enough. I really wish I had the know-how and time and energy to make these videos like super fun to watch. Yeah, so yeah, either way, I don't know why I'm even talking about this, but yeah, I hope the video was good. Bye.